Again, I want to welcome everyone to our live Saturday morning presentation. As you can see by the opening slide, we're going to be talking about marketing strategies for the microbiome, and understand that we're not going to be able to give you everything in today's presentation. One of the things that we want to do in the month of April, and we haven't lined out the complete schedule for each Saturday in April. I'm going to show you a couple Saturdays that are planned. But again, this is a building process of marketing strategies. And today we want to show you two very simple but very effective strategies. Judy Feldhausen is going to show you a strategy that she has. I'm going to show you a strategy that I have. And we'll also have time at the end of this presentation to address some of the questions that you asked us at the beginning of the presentation. Now, before we get into Judy's part of the presentation, let me just move this forward here. We just want to remind everyone that Synergy has their Kickoff 2017, which is the official kickoff for the Purify Kit and the launch of it. And that is Friday, May the 2nd, and Saturday, May the 13th. Now, they don't have a complete schedule of things that are going on, but I know that Friday, May the 12th, there will be tours. I know of the Hughes Center for Research and Innovation. I'm not sure if there'll be tours for Synergy's, for Nature Sunshine's manufacturing facility. I don't remember seeing that. But the registration starts on Tuesday. So April 4th, Tuesday at 9 a.m. is the registration start. And my understanding is they have so much interest in this that they've moved it from the corporate headquarters to the show barn at Thanksgiving Point. Now, some of us have already been at that location before. Synergy has held different events there. That's in Lehigh. It's not that far from Nature Sunshine's corporate office. And there is a hotel that's in that complex. I called Synergy yesterday and asked them if they have any special rates for that hotel. They have not been given, the customer service people for Synergy Worldwide have not been given any additional information than what's already on the blog. So that's one of the things that we'll find out prior to the registration event. Is most likely, I'm hoping that Synergy will book some blocks of rooms so that there's a special rate for hotels for that one, because that hotel is in walking distance to the show barn. As far as the admission rates for it, general admission is going to be $50. And if you're Elite Honors qualified and been Elite Honors qualified for 3 times, and again, I don't know if that applies 3 times, in last year or 3 times for this year. I don't know that.
Hey, Dan?
Yes, Judy?
I read somewhere that it's in 2016 and 17.
Okay, so that would be great. So you have to be Elite Honors qualified 3 times if you want to get a $10 discount. So it's $50 general admission, $40 if you've been Elite Honors qualified for 3 times.
And now, also as a reminder that do not call Synergy Worldwide to get your tickets. They do have a link with Eventbrite. So you can, what I did was I copied my link, the link that was in the blog, and put it on my calendar so that I can just click on the link at the time and go ahead and order my tickets right on Eventbrite. It's going to be much easier and quicker this way than trying to get into the people at Synergy and bother them with our phone calls.
Sure. So there'll be 2 aspects. You can do it online or you can call Synergy, but that won't go live until April the 4th at 9 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. Now, Judy, let me go ahead and pull up your PowerPoint presentation here. And what we want to do now is we want to begin to show you 2 fairly simple marketing strategies. Like any strategy, it's experience. And so, Judy, why don't you go ahead and share your 20-second infomercial?
Okay, so what I wanted to create was something that I could use in several different venues, so that no matter if I'm face-to-face, on the phone, or on social media, I can take parts of this and divide it up or include it in talking to people. So whether you are in a networking meeting, whether that you meet somebody at the grocery store, or you're at meetup.com, or you're making phone calls to friends and family, neighbors, or you want to post something on any of the social media sites, to have something that you can use and really be able to take apart and put back together and reference, to me, is a continuity of message. And going into the gut health, for me, I almost felt like I was now in two different businesses. And thinking, oh my gosh, now I'm in gut health, and people know me. My nickname is the Heart Psychic, because I know things about people's cardiovascular system that they don't know about themselves. And for me now, I felt like I was switching gears. And it was just kind of uncomfortable for me, like, how am I going to do one and then the other? And I spent several days with some great business leaders, and through those days and talking to people, I made several discoveries. And so before I actually get into the infomercial, what I wanted to do today was share how I am formulating my business so that it is a business and not doing two separate products. So if you could go to the next slide, Dan. So I believe that before we tell people what we have heard, that we should actually know that it's truth. I build my business on integrity and honesty, and I don't want to have to backstep and make excuses, or have some people actually blow me away with the fact that they know, against the fact that the what I have been told. So really, we have to stand in facts. So go ahead and go to the next slide, Dan. So this is some information that I was able to research, and I have the links for this for these if anybody ever wants to substantiate it. But you can take a picture of this and know that these are true facts. I've got a couple different slides from a couple different resources here. So this is drugs that people are using for digestive issues. Proton pump inhibitors are actually the prescription drugs, and this is from WebMD. And so I'll read it for those of you that are on the phone and cannot see it, but it says proton pump inhibitor users were 16% to 21% more likely to suffer a heart attack than people with chronic acid reflux who were not taking the drugs. So for me, this first research really ties in cardiovascular disease and gut health. The two really are going hand in hand. So as I'm talking to people about resetting their gut, about the gut being our second brain, it really is so true that if we are not taking care of our gut and we're taking over-the-counter drugs, prescription medication, that we are more likely to suffer from a heart attack. So this was absolutely eye-opening information for me. And the next one is actually, I thought was even more amazing, because this is by John P. Cook. And so let me read this for the people that are on the phone. So John P. Cook, in 2013, he helped author research that suggested that proton pump inhibitors actually decrease nitric oxide in endothelial cells, which line blood cells in the body, and an effect that can have an adverse impact on cardiovascular health. He also worked on a 2015 study that linked regular long-term proton pump inhibitor use to a 20% increased risk of heart attack among a database of 3 million patients. The American Heart Association estimates a heart attack happens every 34 seconds in America. We now have a plausible mechanism that unifies how proton pump inhibitors are associated with heart attack, vascular dimension, and renal failure, said Cook, who is also director of the Center for Cardiovascular Regeneration at the Houston Methodist Research Institute. So here's another link between cardiovascular disease and the over-the-counter drugs and prescription medication that links poor gut health and cardiovascular disease. To me, this was just absolutely eye-opening, and I was not aware of any of this until a business strategist actually mentioned it to me at lunch one day. And so I started doing some research, and through that research, I actually developed this 20-second infomercial that, along with her assistance, of course, we together developed this 20-second infomercial on how I am going to talk about gut health. So on the next slide is my 20-second infomercial. And what I really felt like I was winning the lottery when I actually finally finalized this. I was doing massive networking in Orlando, Florida with a group of about 100 or so people, and within that group of people, I got 24 people to ask for more information on what I was talking. So, so this is my 20-second infomercial. And for those of you on the phone, let me just to say it for you. So I've noticed in my health conversations over the past year or so that more and more people have digestion issues. Things like indigestion, irritable bowel syndrome, and leaky gut. Recent research shows that over-the-counter medications and prescription drugs are actually causing cardiovascular disease and cancer. There is now the first ever patented process, not just individual products, to reset the gut in 1 week. If you or anyone you know would like to learn more, give me your contact information. So what I have done here is talked about my observations, and during this 20 seconds or so, we really, if you're face to face, and even if you're on the phone, being able to pause and let everything sink in. I was so surprised on how many people nodded their head after the first sentence. More and more people have digestion issues. It's absolutely amazing that most of the people in my circles that I was talking to absolutely agreed with me. This is such an amazing issue that is just a great time right now to be in this business. And so people can relate if you talk about specifics, and you can add or talk about Crohn's disease or any of the other issues that people have with their stomach, and really talking about the research so that people know that it's based on fact, and you can now give them the facts when they ask for more information. Also, to talk about the patented process, and it's the first ever. That is something that that the individuals I was speaking to was very, very impressed with, about the process and not just trying to find individual products. And then the last is actually asking for a referral. And that's how I got the cards, by just not ending it there, but by actually giving a call to action so that someone handed me their information. And I actually, while I was there, I talked about not just you or anyone you know, specifically nutritionists, gastroenterologists, medical doctors, chiropractors, physical trainers, those types of people. And so I would add different things as I was repeating this infomercial over a period of time. So, this infomercial has several moving parts, and as you're working with social media, you can use parts of that, parts of the research that I just spoke about, to put in your social media in different at different times, rather than doing it all at once. In social media, we want to tell a story, and so that story is all about gut health issues right now. And so if we tell a story by just little pieces at a time, you will engage your audience, and you will get people to comment and question about what you have to say. So that's really what I have done. Any questions about any of this that I just talked about before we move on?
Yeah, Judy, I've got a couple things before we get to the questions. First, I want to put the context of your 24 follow-ups. Now, you had talked about that you were in a group of people slightly over 100. And so people might think, okay, she got 24 responses out of 100, which is a 25% response rate, which is a pretty good response rate. But if I understood you correctly from when we were talking, these 24 follow-ups actually came from small groups of 5 people. You talked to 6 of those groups. So really this is 30 people that you talked to, that you used this 20-second infomercial. And out of the 30 people, you got 24 that gave you their contact information. Did I understand you correctly?
Yes, actually you did. There were 100 people in the room. We talked to 5 people and then got up and moved to a different group of 5. And it was over a very short period of time. So I did not personally talk to 100. You're so smart to pick that up, Dan. Yeah, my response rate was amazing. And the group that I didn't get any information from was a business associate of mine. She's not in Synergy. She actually works with non-toxic hair care products. And that circle, she had already told them about me and invited them to a presentation that we were having later on in the day, a private presentation. So basically, the follow-up was absolutely phenomenal. And people had to write on the card what they wanted. And many of them wrote down that they knew nutritionists, personal trainers, doctors, or overwhelming, it was me. I want to learn more. I need this product. And actually, I sold kits while I was there at this event. So,
so you had actually an 80% response rate on what you just shared with people. And there's just, before we get to the questions, it's really, to me, important to help people understand that you have given them 5 aspects. You give them an opening statement, and that opening statement needs to be delivered slow enough that people can nod their head to. And then the second line, you can tailor that to either the things that you feel would be most important to the group that you're talking to, or if you're talking to a group specific that have autoimmune diseases or whatever it might be, you can tailor that second line to the group that you're talking to really drive home your point. Then your third line is recent research that you have backup information. You don't have to give the research. You can say recent research, give them what that is in context, and then if, as you said, someone challenges you on that research, you have the actual studies and links that you can send them. And then there's now the first ever, that's really important thing to say, first ever patented process to reset the gut in 1 week. And there is like, okay, I want to, you're just reinforcing the desire for people to want it, and then you've got a strong close, a strong call to action. And those are the components. Am I missing anything from the components of what you just shared with people?
Nope. You've got all 5 there. Absolutely.
Okay. So now let's take questions.
This is Homer. I like the word process. I've been using the word program instead of process, but I really like the word process. It just seems more of like a journey, I guess. I'm going to incorporate that. That's pretty good. Thank you.
Yeah, Homer, that's a good catch, because yes, this is a process, and it's like, okay, I don't want to be in a program, but people understand the aspect of a process, that it's something that occurs over time. And here, you've actually set that time. I can reset my gut in 1 week. That is amazing. Anyone else before we go into my part of the presentation?
I would like to just tell you thank you for this presentation.
I just wanted to clarify the one statement here. There is now the first ever patented process, not just individual products, to reset the gut in 1 week. I'm confused a little on that wording, and maybe you could explain it to me.
So the patent that that Synergy has is for all 5 products together and how they work together in synergy to reset the gut. So each product, from what I understand, does have individual patents, but it's the process that has never received a patent before. A process for something to work together to create one program, one solution. That has not ever been done before, from what I've heard from Synergy.
I'm just wondering if somebody would ask you what the individual products they're talking about would be. That's all I'm thinking.
And this is, what this is a packed full of information so that people do have questions, and one thing or another is going to hit a nerve, and you're now going to be able to have a much deeper conversation. And so the products are, of course, the 5 products in the microbiome system, including the DT and the pro and prebiotics, the proarginine, the gut health, and what did I miss? I missed something.
You have Body Prime, you have the Biome DT, the Biome Shake, the Biome Actives, and Proarginine Plus. Those are the 5 products. And Judy from Canada, understand the purpose of the 20-second infomercial, which is the same purpose of what I'm going to show you next. The only purpose of this is to create interest. Mm-hmm. And then once you've created interest and you have the ability to either talk to the person directly, because you don't have 5 or 6 or 10 or 20 different people asking you questions, but rather you can then schedule time with the person or speak to them individually. And in the individual conversation, then you can find out from their perspective what's most important to them, to be able to tailor your presentation to their needs. All this is designed to do is be able to create your leads, your interest, so that you've got, in this case for Judy, she's got 24 follow-ups. And in those 24 follow-ups, she'll then be able to tailor what she says to each individual based upon the kinds of questions that they ask her. That way it's personalized to them.
And so would you, when you've made that statement, would you have on hand those 5 or 4 products, according to us anyway, that would be included in this so that they get a sense of what they are? Would they be asking that? Would you have those ready?
Sometimes people ask, sometimes people don't care. It really is personal. And I don't carry product around. I mean, I'm not,
No, you would have the names be.
But you know, so if they ask, I say, okay, so in this process, these are, and I don't say Biome DT and Biome Active. You know, I'll say, well, there's a pre and probiotic. You know, there's a detox product, there's a cleansing product, there's a protein shake.
Okay,
so, you know, so specifically, I just. And then they say, okay, so then they'll say, oh, well, is it non-GMO? So, you know, I really believe in answering questions, not throwing up on someone's wall. So wait for what they need to know. And my granddaughter just said, that's disgusting what I just said.
Yeah, and understand, too, the process that the more details that you give in a situation like this, then the less need that the person feels like they need you to follow up with them. Mm-hmm. Again, all you're doing in this process is you're creating the ability to have leads. Now, if you're doing a one-on-one presentation, again, understand the context of that presentation. The person gives you a yes, I want information on this, but understand for you to give them the information that they need may take longer than the time that you have. They've got a schedule that they've got to get to. You've got a schedule that you've got to get to. And the best way of doing this is, again, to create the interest so that you can get the contact information and then set up a time to talk. You know, those are, Judy, those are all great questions that you have, but I personally don't have time right now to give you the right, you know, to give you all the answers. Would it be possible for you and I to set up a time that we could either meet on the telephone, I could send you some information, and then we can talk about it over the telephone, or we could get back together where I can give you the kind of individual attention to your questions that you're looking for? Would that be all right? Again, notice I used that question, would that be all right? That is a closing technique to get a yes to set an appointment, and that's what you want to do. Does that make sense?
Right.
Yes, absolutely.
Another, again, that's the art of asking questions. You know, when you ask the right questions, you typically will get the right response that you're looking for.
Yeah, I'm one of the few people I think that actually have that book by Dr. Cook. It's like, it's so rare I don't even think it's in print anymore.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the information that Judy shared on her slide is current information done those studies were done well after Dr. John Cook, the cardiovascular cure. So the information that Judy has on the screen is current information. 2015, if I remember correctly from the one slide, that's less than 2 years ago.
Right.
Anything else before we move on to the next part of our presentation today? Well, let's go ahead and move into this one here. Now, just to give you a couple pieces of information coming up, part of the marketing strategy are two things that are in development. One is a microbiome research ebook. That ebook will be shown to you on Saturday, April the 8th, so that you can understand the material that's in that ebook and how to be able to use that ebook as a way of offering people information. So the technique that you just heard from Judy The technique that you're going to hear from me in just a couple minutes is all designed to be able to create the interest for more information. And if you want to use the ebook on microbiome research as a way of getting information into the hands of that person, that then in your follow-up, because you again, when I give you mine, there's a couple definable things that you want to get from an individual before you're going to send them information, allows you to be able to follow up with a person. So we're going to cover this ebook on Saturday, April the 8th. The other thing that we've put together is a live microbiome research webinar. And that will be, we'll show a preview of that live webinar on the following Saturday, which is Saturday, the April 15th, because the actual live webinar will be Tuesday night, 8 o'clock Central Standard Time on April the 18th. And when I send out the email newsletter on Monday, I will have a link to this live webinar for the 18th. You can begin to already start promoting to people that you talk to say, hey, they're developing an ebook and a webinar to help educate people, and I've got this link to the webinar on April the 18th. It's a Tuesday night, 8 o'clock Central Standard Time. Would that be something that you could attend? And if that person says yes, then you can send them that link and let them already get registered for that so that you can begin to build people. We've got 100 seats for that webinar, so you can begin to build people into that webinar that you can then follow up with. You know, they'll get an automatic follow-up if they register, but you can also, if you've got their information, to follow up with them. Did you register for the webinar? Great. You know, and then remind them about the webinar in addition to the reminders that they'll get through email that the webinar will occur. So those are two things that are coming up as part of your overall marketing strategies. We'll show you the ebook on the 8th. They'll actually give you a preview of the live webinar on the 15th. And then for today, I call this elevator speech. You know, Judy called it a 20-second commercial or infomercial. You know, I call it an elevator speech. And so I've got one for customers and one for business builders. And you will notice that the first opening line is the same for both. I'm a firm believer in putting things in the context of a mission, because you want people to resonate with your mission, especially if you're talking to individuals that are like-minded to you. And this is really important with regards to attracting business builders to yourself. But my elevator speech is, I'm like if I was at an event that Judy talked about, and I can see how beginning to incorporate maybe some twists and turns to what Judy did to what I'm showing you here. You know, whatever you do, whether it's doing Judy's, doing this, doing a blend of the two, you want to make it so that you own it. And what I mean by owning it is you want to be able to say it and repeat it without having to look at it, which means that you have to practice it, and you have to practice it out loud, because if you say this in front of a mirror, and I know that sounds like, okay, gosh, that's like, you know, do I really have to do this? Well, no, you don't have to do it. But if you want to be successful in increasing your ability to create interest, then yes, that practice either in front of a mirror, but if you don't want to go in front of a mirror, you definitely have to speak this out loud. Because if it does not sound conversational out loud, then people will know that you're doing something that you tried to memorize, and it's not really part of you yet. But when you can speak this out loud in a conversational method, how you normally talk to people, then people will understand that you own it, that you're passionate about it, and that you want to share something that will actually help them. I'm part of the Million Lives Project. Our goal is to help 1 million people or more understand how to effectively reset their gut health for improved energy, as well as naturally address abdominal health challenges, weight loss, and autoimmune diseases. In the next couple of weeks, we're going to release an excellent ebook to help people understand how they can quickly reset their gut health. Would you like me to send you this once it's been released? and then I shut up. Once I ask that question, I don't mean to be rude here about saying shut up. I could say be quiet, but shut up sounds good because that's what people need to do. When you ask the last question or the question, you got to close your mouth and let them respond. Because all you're doing is you're fishing for people who are interested, not trying to convince people, but you want to make sure that your 20-second infomercial like Judy shared, or whether you use this type of elevator speech, and I can see making a very quick change in here where I say, in the next couple of weeks, we're going to release an excellent ebook to help people understand how they can reset their gut health in a week. Would you like me to send you this once it's been released? And then if they say yes, you want their name if you don't know them. Certainly if you know them, don't ask them for their name. But you do want their email address, even if you do know them, to make sure that you've got it properly. And you want their phone number. And if they're not going to give you their phone number, then I would not give them the book. And if they balked and said, well, you know, here's my email address, can I have your phone number, please? No, I don't think so. Okay, then I'll tell you what. This book, I want to make sure that you get it. And there's no way that I'll know without your phone number, because I'm going to call you to make sure that you received it. Now, if you don't want me to call you, then I won't. But I also won't send you the ebook. Now, you can decide on your own whether you want to be that forceful. But understand, we live in defined areas. And when you put up a definition of how you're going to do things, people will respect you for it. And you're looking for people who are serious about changing their health. And if they walk because, well, I don't want you to be soliciting me. And I'll say, and then, okay, I understand what you're saying. I'll tell you, I will not solicit you. But I will call you to make sure you got it. And if you tell me that you have, then I will leave it up to you after that about how you want to respond to it. But I don't want to waste my time of sending something that I don't know it goes through, because I'm part of the Million Lives Project. And our goal is to get this information into the hands of 1 million people, but we want to make sure that they get it. And if you don't respect that process, then that's okay. I understand it. And when you want to share your phone number with me, I'll be more than happy to share the ebook with you. Again, you can make the choice on your own part what you feel comfortable with and what you don't feel comfortable with. But the first part, your opening statement, whatever your mission statement, or if you use the 20-second infomercial that Judy has, whatever you're doing, you've got to write it out. We're recording today's presentation. We'll provide this information on Monday's newsletter, so you can take Judy's information, you can take the information I'm sharing with you. You can, again, like I said, do one or the other or blend the two, but you've got to put it in your terms, your speaking pattern, how you talk, your cadence to how you talk. I have a different cadence than Judy has. Again, you've got to spend some time with this and get it down, and then do it. And in the process of actually doing it in front of people, with people, you'll begin to hone this. And the more that you do it, the easier it will be for you to remember it. And even if you don't get it exactly right, you'll know your key components of what you want to share with people. Now, the other one is for finding business builders. Again, first part is the same. I'm part of the Million Lives Project. Our goal is to help 1 million people or more understand how to effectively reset their gut health. You notice I emphasize certain words. How to effectively reset their gut health for improved energy, as well as naturally address abdominal health challenges, weight loss, and autoimmune diseases. We're actively looking for others who have a passion for health and would like to start out making an extra $300 to $700 in part-time income every month. This patent pending program launches in May. Would this be something you're interested in? Again, you can begin to start recruiting business builders. The program launches in May. If you want to invite them to attend the Saturday training sessions, go ahead, share the link for Saturday. We've got 100 seats in the Zoom platform. So we've got 18 people today, which means that we've got 82 seats that are open. So if you have people that are interested and want to see more about this, then definitely share the link to the Saturday training program for a couple reasons. One, they can get information and they can see that they don't have to, they can see that you're not the one that has to learn this, that there's a there's a leadership group that is passionate about what we're doing and shares information, so they can see, hey, if I get other people, I don't have to do this. I can have them plug into this process. Plus, they can see what's being developed. And I can tell you that most people who are in network marketing have never seen the types of things that we're doing to help them actively build a customer base to create cash flow for their business, as well as build a system that other people that they recruit into the business can follow that system to create cash flow for those people that they bring in, as well as replicate that system down through their organization. So anyone have any questions for what I've showed you, and any questions back to Judy before we answer those questions that were given to us at the beginning of today's presentation?
First ever patented product system to support gut health.
And someone's already practicing, and so you're unmuted and we can hear you practicing, and we're glad that you're already on the right track.
Hi, Dan.
Yes.
I really like the elevator speech, the first portion that you showed us, not the, maybe go back to that original slide, because I feel like that's something that I could probably talk very quickly, could memorize easily. Mm-hmm. And I like the fact that when you ask for their phone number, that you take the stance that you did, because that tells me as a consumer, you're just not trying to market me and sell me. You're sorting me as much as I'm sorting you.
Good. And again,
if you understand what I'm.
Yeah, I absolutely agree and understand where you're coming from. And see, there's no one right strategy. There is just a strategy that you need to do that you feel good about, that resonates with you. Because if it resonates with you, then your ability to demonstrate your passion for what you're doing comes across.
Right, and I like the word naturally. I find that kind of interests people, because sometimes they're all about drugs, and up here they're in a big to-do about the drugs and all the things that it's doing to people. So it's a good word to use in there, to have that naturally. Mm-hmm. So yeah, like that.
Anyone else before we get to the questions that were asked us at the beginning of today's presentation? So, Homer, you had asked us two questions. The first question is easy to answer, and Judy, I know you have an answer. And the question that Homer had is, who should we not approach on the microbiome? And Homer, my answer, I don't know what Judy's answer is, but my answer to that would most likely be children. That would be the people that we would not address. Teenagers, I'm not sure. But definitely young adults and above, absolutely. Judy, do you have an answer to that question?
Well, yes, I totally agree with you, Dan. If anyone has lived as an adult in the United States, has eaten processed food, been to areas that have toxins, or have been on antibiotics their entire part of their life, those were the people that I would target.
And I can't think of anyone that wouldn't be in that category.
Right.
And even children, but again, I would ask the question about the children at the event in May, to maybe Dr. Tripp or others to see what their feeling is on the microbiome kit towards being used for kids.
Right.
I can see components of the microbiome kit being used for kids. Like I could see the biome shake, and I could see the biome actives being used for kids. I'm not sure about the biome DT, and I'm not sure about the body prime. So again, I can see components being okay for kids, but I'm not sure if the whole system is okay for kids. And Homer, your other question was band surgery that people have had for their stomach to reduce the size. And again, my gut feeling would be they would need to reduce the amount of the shake and reduce the amount of the things that they're taking. But that to me is a question that we would need to ask Dr. Tripp and the people at Synergy, in the scientific community at Synergy, that question to get a better answer. Judy, do you have any thoughts on that one?
No, I think that's a great response, Dan, because after surgery, an individual cannot eat more than 4 ounces at a sitting.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it would have to be, less.
Yeah, and I can tell you when they make the shake, they're going to have well more than 4 ounces. So.
Right.
With regards to Tracy's question on if a person's had radiation therapy or chemotherapy, my answer to that would be absolutely. This program would be great for them. As a cancer survivor who about 30 years ago, I can't remember the number of rads that I had bombarded into my stomach. I can tell you that every day that I went in for my treatment, I would go to work. I'd leave work at 12 noon. I'd drive an hour into Chicago at Weiss Memorial, get my radiation therapy for my abdominal cavity, drive an hour and a half back home to where I lived, and by the time I walked through the door, I'd go in and throw up and usually have diarrhea. So yeah, I would definitely say that for a person who has radiation therapy or has had chemotherapy, their gut microbiome is most likely not in the best shape. And so this would be a way to help them quickly recolonize the microbiome of their abdominal cavity with the types of bacteria that they would need to improve digestion and the ability to improve their immune system so that their immune system can go to work for them. So my feeling, and again, we can talk with Dr. Tripp and ask that question, but my feeling would be yes. Judy, do you have anything on that?
No, I totally agree with you.
Okay. And Judy from Canada, you were going to say something?
No, it's Carol.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I just want to be a testament to the Progenine Plus as far as chemo and radiation goes, because I did make that decision before I took chemotherapy and radiation to stay on that product. And frankly, it breathed me through. I had hardly any of the symptoms and complications that others had, and I continue to do that today. So I made that decision because all they talk about is drugs, and I just didn't want to do that. And so I had already been on Progenine, and that is the difference for me. And so I think it's really important that cancer patients know that.
Thank you for sharing that. And then Timothy had a question, will the microbiome kits be on sale at the convention on May the 12th and 13th? And the answer to that is absolutely. That's when it gets launched, and you'll most likely be able to take product back with you. That's typically how it's been in the past. So they'll have their show specials, and so Timothy, you should be able to purchase and take back with you whatever you feel that you can want to afford and pack and get through customs.
And in the past, they have had a shipping option also.
Yeah, but Timothy lives in Barbados, so that he won't be able to get that shipping option.
Oh, yes.
All right. Do we have any other questions that we need to address before we say goodbye?
This is Homer again. Just a comment. People that are actively on antibiotics, I had one person who was on antibiotics that I didn't know at the time. She was having a hard time taking, she was having bad results, I guess, because she was taking the antibiotics with the, with the probiotic and all that, and she was really having a hard time. So she stopped like on the third day. So that's just a warning out there. But she's going to restart what she's done. So.
Yes, yeah, I absolutely agree with you, Homer. If you know that the person is on antibiotics, it is a waste of time for them to start this program, because antibiotics kill both bad bacteria and good bacteria across the board. So you're just wasting your time and your efforts on this program. It's like my wife had to have some oral surgery, and they put her on antibiotics, and I told her, you're not starting the program until you're off the antibiotics, because it makes no sense to do this while you're taking that type of medication. So yes, I completely agree with what you're saying, Homer. And thanks for bringing that up. Anyone else before we say goodbye?
Yes, Dan. Thanks for the answer.
You're welcome.
Yep.
Sorry, Tim. I didn't mean to step on. Dan?
You got a long step there.
Yes, that happens. Yes, Dan. I like the idea of the comment on the telephone number and the information, the person's information. And those of us in network marketing knows we call it taking it away. Some people, for those people who don't want to share information or their information, you don't want to give it to them, give your product away necessarily. And although it might sound harsh, I lost my brother, as you know, and I feel that since he didn't listen to me, I feel that other people wouldn't listen, and I see it as a possible loss. So that's my way of handling that.
Thank you, Donald, for sharing.